Have you ever had this happen? When you're practicing, you're doing your practice regimen or whatever, and you find that you start thinking too much about the future. You start thinking too much and worrying too much about, like, oh man, I'm not getting good fast enough. I'm not as good as those guys or the girls or whatever. There's a lot more women playing guitar these days, which is pretty awesome. But anyway, so you're just like too concerned about that to the point where you're not even enjoying what you're doing anymore. And it's becoming like this big struggle. And the more that you think about it, the worse it gets. And I've actually experienced this in my own playing. There have been times, usually it doesn't happen, especially not really much anymore, but back in the day, I had a habit, like every now and then, of getting into my head a little bit, and so I'd be playing, and I'm worried, I'm like, oh, I'm not getting better fast enough, and as I'm thinking about that, because I'm thinking about it, I realize that it seems like I'm actually getting worse. Like, as I'm practicing, it's like, oh shit, it might have just been psychological, because I'm thinking about all that stuff, and so it's like you're hypercritical about your playing, and that whole thing is just not fun at all. And it kills the fun, it kills the enjoyment, and it's like, playing guitar should be enjoyable. Like, that's the reason why it exists. And so part of this is to just not take it so seriously and just have fun. So I immediately think of Jeff Loomis again. I mentioned him before, but I was watching an interview of him, and he's like such a good guitarist. He's so good. He's technically amazing. And he's one of those guys who would practice just like constantly as a kid. And so he was saying that when he was younger, he would just sit in his room and play the guitar. Like, that's what he would do for fun. Just play the friggin' guitar. And for him, he just thought of it as playing. So he didn't think of it as practicing, he saw it as playing. Now, he also specified that he also focused and he challenged himself, but he even found that stuff just really enjoyable. It was always just play for him. And I think that is like probably the ideal mindset to be in for all of us when we're practicing anything. So it's like I've noticed, let me know if you've noticed this too, there are certain times when I'm practicing, and let's just say I really want to get good at, I don't know, a certain technique. Like when I was really practicing sweep picking, I would do it so slowly. And at first it felt really tedious. But the only reason why it felt tedious is because I was a little impatient. And I was like, oh man, this is not happening very fast. And of course it's not going to happen fast because stuff like this takes a while. You know, it's just how it is. But I noticed that when I could, and even today with anything else that I'm trying to learn, if I stop thinking about that and I'm just focused completely on what I'm doing, like note by note, it's like you can get into this meditative state. It's almost like you're not even aware of what you're doing anymore, or you're not analyzing it anymore. You're just completely absorbed in the act of what you're doing. I think some people describe that as flow. They call that, or being in the zone or something like that. You're just so focused. And when you're that focused on it, it's actually really enjoyable. It's like calming. You're in this meditative state. And you're no longer concerned about like, oh, I'm not where I want to be yet. Because you're enjoying the moment of just playing each note so much. And that in itself becomes like fulfilling. So again, don't think about practicing when you're practicing. If you do think about practicing when you're practicing, please do it in a way that is actually conducive to, you know, enjoyment in general. Don't think about it in the sense that, oh, I'm practicing, this is hard work, this is a struggle, you know, it's going to take a while, oh shit. You know, think of it as like practice is good. You know, it's good to practice, and it can be really fun to practice. You can even make it fun. You know, play along the backing tracks or whatever. There's ways to actually make it fun as well, so it isn't like this arduous task. Because playing the guitar should not be an arduous task. I mean, it's a challenging instrument, but it shouldn't be like this struggle, you know, like, oh, I'm not as good as I want to be. Yeah, it's going to take time. So yeah, you're not as good as you want to be, and that's actually okay. And like where you are right now is totally fine. It's totally perfect, actually. This is exactly where you need to be right now, based on what you've done. So what I'm saying is that if you implement all these things that I've said in this video series, it's like you can kind of just give up that worrying mentality. You can give that all up. because you can know that you're on the right track. And as long as you keep up these things and you follow these steps, you're going to be headed in the right direction. And you can have faith that you're just going to get better and better. Like, I'm at a point right now where it's like, I just know I'm going to get better and better because I have this practice regimen down. And I do get better and better. And so I don't really worry anymore about like, oh, I'm not as good as that guy. It's like, well, if I keep practicing, then I probably will become as good as that guy, just as long as I keep doing it. But obviously that includes time, putting in the time, being consistent, challenging myself and learning and all that stuff. And then if I can do all that stuff, if you do all that stuff, then it'll be much more likely that you will view practice as a positive and not like a negative, or not like something that is a challenge or a struggle for you or whatever. It can actually be something that's really enjoyable, and it should. Alright, so if you like this video, then please like it and subscribe, and I'll be posting many more videos to come. And thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you putting in the time. I might make some more of these videos in the future. I don't friggin' know. Alright, let me know if you have any tips for practicing. I'd like to know your tips too, because, you know, we're all students. I'm a student. I love learning too. Teach me some stuff. Alright, let me know, you know, what you recommend when it comes to practicing. I'd be very interested, actually. Alright, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Have a great day.